Now, I don't want you to confuse mentoring with being a role model. Role models can also lead by example. But as we've seen in the media, role models can go from good to bad.
If your mentees and the students that you have and the people that you help and the people that you teach don't move above you, it means that you're a bad teacher, not a good one.
What's up, you guys? It's Graham here. So this is probably one of the most important topics that I'm going to be discussing so far, and it's about mentoring. And I feel like so many people are so caught up right now in trying to find a mentor. They think that a mentor is going to be the end-all be-all of life and success and business, and they feel like they need a mentor first, and then they can go and start doing things that they really want to do, versus just doing those things now and then finding a mentor naturally as they go along. Now, the common theme with all of the mentors that I've had is that I didn't go up to them and I didn't ask, hey, will you be my mentor? Will you teach me? I have to say, you guys, that is one of the most common questions I get from everybody is, Graham, will you mentor me? Graham, will you teach me? And that's probably one of the worst ways to go about it. And I'll be completely honest with you, I can't ever see that working. First of all, it tells me nothing about you. It tells me nothing about how motivated you are, how passionate you are, how knowledgeable you are. Same with asking me questions that you could find off Google in a search. It's different to ask my opinion on something than ask me something that you can Google for 2 seconds and find the answer of. It shows me that you've done no research whatsoever about what you want to do. You don't have the capacity to find the answers on your own and be resourceful. If someone's going to teach you something, they want to know that you're 100% in, that you're really dedicated, that you're enthusiastic, that you're passionate, and that you bring something to the table, not just trying to take something. You always have to offer something in return. I've always come in with something that I've offered them, which is either my enthusiasm, my passion, my drive, my focus. There have been a multitude of things that I've come into the table that can benefit everybody. And it's not just like me going up to somebody asking, will you mentor me? Like, that's such a bad question. Same with going up to somebody and asking them like a very generic question that just you can't answer. Like another one I get is like, Graham, like I want to make $1 million. How can I make $1 million? Please help me. And that's honestly, that's such a generic question. It's like, I can't answer that, you guys, for real. It's like there are a million ways to make $1 million. You need to go into it asking very specific questions. So here's my recommendation with how to find a mentor. First off, you need to start on your own path. You need to do things already. You don't need to wait around for a mentor to come and pick you up and swoop you up and then bring you to success. You need to be on that path already. So step number 1, be on that path, do your own research, and start as if you already have a mentor. Just start. Start right now. Start doing your research. Start doing whatever you want to do. And I think naturally and organically, people are going to see your passion. They're going to see what you have to bring to the table. And they're naturally going to want to help you out. Successful people usually aren't the type to be like trying to hoard all their information, to hoard everything that they have. Every successful person that I've seen personally has been some of the most giving people you would ever imagine. I mean, they are the most generous people in terms of what they have to offer. And a mentor, by the way, is less about giving you step-by-step guides about how to get somewhere, but they're more about providing experience and wisdom and knowledge and their opinion. Because here's the biggest difference from what I see from a lot of the comments I get and from the comments I get from people who are already on the path. The comments I get from people in the first mentality of like, will you mentor me, will you teach me? They ask me questions that they can find out very easily with a Google search. Now, no disrespect to that. These are all great questions, but it tells me that you really haven't taken the time to do any research whatsoever. The questions that I get from people that I know are really going to do well are very specific and they're very opinionated. It's less about, Graham, what type of rent can I get in San Bernardino? But more about, Graham, why did you buy in San Bernardino versus this area? What is your experience renting with a tenant in San Bernardino versus renting to a tenant in Los Angeles? Have you noticed there's more demand in that price point than this price point? They're very opinionated questions, and that's where my expertise comes in. It's not telling you the average price per square foot of San Bernardino, because you could find that on your own. Like, you need to do some research, and that's what a mentor, in my opinion, really has to offer. It's less about facts. And it's more about opinions and experience and knowledge and wisdom that they have to bring to the table. And I don't think a mentor is going to be someone, again, to swoop you up and take you to success and like save you necessarily. And they're not going to give you the step-by-step advice to getting exactly what you want. You need to already be on this path. You need to already be doing exactly what you want to do. And usually, naturally and organically, things happen and things work in your favor from people who see you already on that path and want to help you succeed. And you don't need that as an excuse to not do something. Just go and do it anyway. So my advice for finding a mentor is not to wait around to find a mentor. It's just to go and do it. If you want to be in real estate, go ahead and get your real estate license. Go ahead and start on that path. Go ahead and make things happen for yourself and not wait for someone to come around or not wait for this moment to happen that's going to change your life. Just go and do it anyway.
How to find a mentor. Now you might be wondering why you're in the car with me. I'll address that at the end of this video. When I was getting started, I was trying all kinds of ideas and all kinds of businesses. And I had all these crazy thoughts and ideas and wanted to do different things and wanted to be successful. And I started and failed at 13 businesses before having my first success. Now, during that period of time, like most people, I was reading the books. I read Think and Grow Rich from front to back like 10 times. I read How to Win Friends and Influence People. I read so many of these personal development books and success books, and I was attending events and going to seminars. And all those things, they helped to a certain degree, but I would say that I'm where I'm today because of my mentors. Now, over the years, I've had, I would say, 2 mentors. Now, the first mentor that I have, his name is Alan Jacks. And I met Alan when I was in my early 20s. It's kind of interesting. At the time, Alan, before he retired, he used to run one of the most successful financial education company in Canada. And at the time, they were doing a lot of direct mail. And I would be, because I was attending all these workshops, I would get these direct mail pieces. Now, most people would think of those as junk mail, but I didn't. So one day I was attending one of these workshops because I didn't have a lot of money. I would attend all these free workshops. And sitting next to me, I looked at the name tag. I said, no, it couldn't be. And I thought about it. I looked at it again. It said Alan Jacks. I said, there's no way. So I couldn't help and I asked, I said, are you Alan Jacks? And he said, yes, I am. I said, are you the one that's sending the letters and like the invite people to attend workshops and things like that? I said, I am. I'm the one who wrote all those pieces. I said, no way. Like, I said, you're my hero. And then he was first a little bit like taken by that. Okay, you attend my workshops. I said, no, not the workshop, the marketing. I love the way you do marketing. I said, I collect all your letters. I put in a 3-wing binders and I study them. And he was a little bit surprised because I don't think he's ever heard of anyone like acknowledge and gave him compliment on his marketing. Although he is a marketing genius. And it's like a 20-year-old kid. And I said, Alan, oh man, I love what you do. I admire you so much. I said, can I buy you lunch? And he looked at me and said, okay. I still remember what he said. He said, nah, what the hell? I gotta eat. And that's how we started a relationship. I bought him lunch, and we had lunch. And then later on, I actually volunteered to work for his company for next to nothing for a year. And I would go into the office. I would help him organize the paperwork. Because we were doing so much direct mail at the time, I would lick the stamps, right? I would lick the envelope. It's funny because I was licking a lot of envelope and I didn't know because it tastes horrible. After he saw me do a whole bunch of envelopes, like a few hundred letters, he said, you do know, Dan, you can use water, right? I said, thank you. And I didn't know because I thought, God, this is like I'm poisoning myself here. And the stamps, and I would take those to the mailbox, the mail post office. And that's how we started a relationship. And that's my first mentor. And the lesson for that is, instead of asking yourself, how do you find a mentor? I believe your mentor actually finds you. That Most people, they think of, it doesn't matter where you're starting, that you think, well, I want to be successful, I want to make more money, I want to have whatever goals that you have. Instead of approaching your potential mentors as oh, you are successful, you should help me, poor little me, don't approach it like that. Approach as how you can add value to their lives. Always give first before you ask anything in return. And that's what I did. I seeked our mentor, I helped him, I worked for him for next to nothing for a year. I just want to add value to what he does. Because understand this, your mentor doesn't need you. He or she is already successful. They're where you want to be in your dreams. So think about, why would they even want to spend and invest their time and effort with you? You got to think about that. Don't come from the angle of being selfish, or just because someone is successful, they're obligated to help me. That's a very poor person's mentality. Add value to what they do first, and don't even go to them with an agenda. Because think about, I can tell you, when you're successful, people come to me for two things. Either they come to me for money, or they come to me for a job. You don't want to go to your mentors with either of these two things, because then they'll categorize you as, oh, this guy just wants something from me, or that he just wants money from me, or whatever the agenda. But versus with Alan, I just say, I just want to learn, and at the time I said anything I can do to help, and he gave me more and more and more responsibility, and he trusts me more and more and more over the years. And then later on, he would just say, you know what, you're doing all these admin work, why don't you help me do some of this marketing stuff? And he started showing me, how do you write copy, how do you communicate, how do you use words to influence people. And that's the year that changed my life. And that's my first mentor. Now my second mentor, and some of you may know if you follow my work on YouTube channel, his name is Dan Pena. And I met Dan kind of through his work. I bought his book on eBay, and through that period of time, and now both have been my mentors over a decade now. And Dan, of course, taught me different things. Maybe I'll make a future video about my story with Dan. I call him Big Dan, Mr. Pena. And so what I'm saying is this: when you seek your mentor, you want to find someone who you respect. You want to find someone who you resonate with. Just because someone is successful financially doesn't necessarily make them a good mentor. Because sometimes they are successful in a certain way, but you have to ask yourself, are they the ideal role models for you, right? Do you share the same value? Do you connect with them, right? With Alan, we connect on so many different levels. Are you comfortable kind of hanging out with your mentor? I think that's very, very critical. That there has to be some form of connection, not just business, but the social sense, right? I think that's very important. And you don't want to go to them where you are very, of course, you want to spend time, you want to get as much time with them as possible, but at the same time, respect their time, respect the space, because they're also very, very busy, chances are, if they're successful. I think those would be the main tips. Now, I do know that sometimes what holds people back is that doesn't matter where you're at, and you see someone who's very successful, that you're afraid to approach them. I can tell you over the years, putting mentors aside, whenever I see someone successful, and when I seek help, when I ask them for lunch, when I ask them for dinner, when I just reach out, very sincere, not with no agenda, not trying to get money from them or anything like that, I just want knowledge. 9 out of 10, I can tell you that people who are successful, they're very generous. I've been turned down maybe a handful of times. Out of the hundreds and hundreds of times I ask people, I've turned down maybe a couple of times. And it shows you that people who are successful, if you approach them with sincerity, they would say, and at the time I was nobody, I was just a kid. And they would say, sure, I'll give you the time. And they would spend the time, and you ask good questions, and I would take notes, obviously, and I learned through that period of time. Don't be afraid to ask. When you find that mentor, when you find that person, when you find the mentor that you know, this is who I want to learn from, you go all in. You just go all in.